Поприветствуйте нашего спикера. Его зовут Саймон Струмсе. Он живет в Норвегии, основатель компании Film, компания, которая занимается созданием, я бы так назвал, социальной сети вокруг продажи билетов. То есть это такой функционал, который кинотеатры и подобные учреждения могут использовать для того, чтобы собирать сообщества, продавать билеты и взаимодействовать с посетителями на более глубоком уровне. Hi, Simon.
Hi, Stas. Nice to see you.
Introduction in Russian, but I would like you to introduce yourself. Can you do it?
Sure. So my name is Simon, and I'm the CEO and founder of Film. We're a fast-growing company with offices in Norway and in Russia. And basically, we make apps and websites and a full marketing platform that helps cinemas and theaters engage their audiences, develop active communities, and control and own their customer journeys.
Tell me a little bit more about what you mean by customer journeys.
So, yeah, sure. So today, the typical customer journey for a cinema starts when an audience member from the public shows up in the kiosk to purchase a ticket for a show, and it ends only a few hours later when they leave the cinema. And so it's a very short customer journey, and the theater then, they didn't know who they were before they arrived, and they often don't know how to get in touch with a customer after they have left. So the customer journey, that's the time the customer spends within a journey and experience that you have designed for them. So maybe they come in the kiosk, they buy a ticket, and they leave again. But maybe they purchased the ticket before, but on a different online portal than the cinema's own website. And then the cinema will know even less about the customer journey, right? Because it was ordered, or part of the customer journey happened on a third party or on the website of a different company. So that's why it's important for anyone, but especially for theaters, to own the customer journey. So what we do with the cinemas we work with is that we create apps for every individual cinema that are so engaging that customers will use them 3 to 4 times per week to watch trailers, read reviews by other users, and just stay up to date. So basically, we take a lot of activities they would normally do on IMDb or YouTube or any video site or VK, and watch trailers and so on. And we take all these activities and we bring them in to the cinema's own platform, own app, own website. And so what happens then is a customer journey for one of the theaters we work with could start maybe 6 months before a movie even comes out. And then when a user opens your cinema app and sees the trailer inside it, and then we add buttons so they can press, for example, the I'm interested button and add a movie to their watch list. So express an intent to watch it even month before the movie even becomes available to watch on cinema. And then you as a cinema, you can then use your marketing platform to send this user updates about new trailers for the movie, competitions maybe special screenings, or when the ticket sale starts, of course. And in our experiences, they can even see which of their friends are interested in the same movie. So they can start planning, okay, maybe I'm going to go with this friend because I know they already want to watch it. And then the customer journey, I mean, that's just the start. It can continue even after they leave the cinema. So what we do, for example, is we wait 18 minutes after the cinema has ended, the movie has ended, to send the user a push, because then we know in their mobile app, because then we know that they have usually got out of their seat, they said goodbye to their friends, but they are still emotionally connected to the movie they just saw. And so the chance that they will leave a review when they're emotionally connected to the movie is much higher than if we wait all the way until they come home. So we send them a push, and then if they leave a good review, they get recommended similar movies to add to their watch list experience, right? And you can also use customer journeys to make a bad experience better. For example, if they leave a bad review of the movie, then we can use the customer journey to change their memory of the cinema experience by maybe not showing them other movies right away, but ask them about other things like, was the cinema clean? Was the staff friendly? Was the check-in experience good? And then they'll maybe start focusing on the good parts of their memory instead of maybe if they didn't like the movie. And that's kind of okay, that's data. That has a huge value for cinemas. It's good to know if your service is good or not, but it's even more important how it creates a sense of care for the audience member. They feel that they have been listened to, and creates a trust and a community between the cinema and the audience, where they trust that you really only want to give them their best experience. And this is not something not only cinemas can do, but anyone. I mean, shopping centers, museums, everyone should be thinking about the digital customer experience they are building as a journey where the customer never leaves. I mean, he might go home, but he's still going to open your app and stay with you and explore what you have to offer, even if he's not physically at your location. So it's kind of it can be an endless loop.
Right. So, and right now everything is closed, and some cinemas and other venues trying to start probably their video on demand platforms or maybe streaming platforms. Is there any experience or how you work with this kind of thing?
Yeah, so I think it's super important to think about customer journeys when you're doing streaming as well. And I tell you a bit why. Because today there are two main ways cinemas are doing streaming. The most common is where cinema have a partnership with a third-party website. So they will send their users to a different website. It's a company that does streaming for cinemas, for example. And that can seem like a good idea at first, but I think it's very, very scary when you think about it, because what you are doing is you're breaking the first rule in customer journeys. You are sending the user away and out of your experience and into one that you don't control. So you basically lost your customer, right? Because they're no longer talking to you, you're talking to someone else, and you just have to cross your fingers and hope that they come back. The other way is to have your own streaming service, which you own, but which is a separate business entity and user experience from the cinema. And the UK cinema Curzon, for example, is maybe the best example of this. And there may be the best example of streaming done right by a cinema in the world today. Still, they are missing one thing, I think, and that's the seamless customer journey between cinema, physical, and streaming at home, digital. They're kind of different experiences still. So I think there are ways to improve this, and we have a vision for the way we are building now streaming into our cinema apps for the cinemas we work with. And our vision is that you add your movie, as I was saying before, to your watch list maybe 6 months before it's released in cinemas. And because you did that, you will be reminded to get tickets to see it in the best experience available, the cinema. And so we don't promote streaming while a movie is on the cinema, because that's where you want to send people first. Now, as time goes by, right, at some point, the movie is you no longer have space to show it in your theaters. And then there are still, and if you build customer journeys, if you have user profiles and people sign in, you know who saw the movie and who didn't watch the movie. And then what you can do is you can send them a push where you tell, buy the license rights to the movie and send them a push that now they can stream it. And it's possible even to build it so they can stream it from directly within the same app and website where you sell cinema tickets. And you don't even need to make it available for everyone, right? But you could make it available only to those who want to watch it. And the most important thing, since this all happens within your own customer journey, is that when they finished watching the movie, you can trigger a pop-up, for example, to show them a trailer for 3 similar movies that will soon be showed inside the cinema, not on streaming. So you are offering a digital at-home experience to your users, but you are using the digital streaming to bring people back into your physical location. And I think if you as a cinema consider doing streaming, you should always think of, why am I doing it? Am I doing it to earn a little bit of extra money, or am I doing it to bring even more people, to own the customer journey also at home, right?
That's interesting. I really like your idea
Thanks.
about this situation. Tell us in general a little bit more. So you're based in Norway. What's happening in the cinema industry over there at the moment?
So when all the cinemas in Norway, they got closed down middle of March, and we needed a couple of weeks to kind of understand what was happening and reorganize and figure out what to do next. But already before Easter, we saw a lot of Norwegian cinemas that turned around on a dime and were offering drive-ins to their communities. So at first, they started doing drive-in cinemas outside on big football fields, or even on the rooftops of garages and so on. And what also happened is that shortly after that, a lot of cinemas in Norway got permission to show movies to one family at a time. So now people who live together in quarantine, for example, they can rent the big screen at their local cinema to watch a movie or even play TV games. Some cinemas do that. There's not a lot of money in this, of course, but it's a way to remind your audiences that cinemas exist and that they will still be there when they come back. And that brings me to my next point, actually, which is that it's super important for cinemas, even if you're completely closed, to stay top of the mind of your audience, keep communicating with them so they don't forget about you.
So tell us a little bit more right now, when everybody's shut down, how important it is to have the communication with the patrons, with their clients, and how to do it in a creative way.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, most exhibitors, they have a set of priorities right now that I guess there are other things that are higher priority and feel higher priority than posting on social media. But when you have time to look up from those things that are important to keep your business alive, I think it's important to prioritize having a communication strategy for this period. And I think that's important for three main reasons. Because in a special situation like this, it's extra easy for people, right, to form new habits. And right now, many of them are formed online. So everyone is reaching out to people to make them start using their own and remember them and think about them. And people have a lot of time at home, so they are looking for content and they are jumping into online communities. And I think that just being in those communities with some content and share that content, so I mean, posting is quite important, because then you can be part of the place where all these new habits are formed and stay top of mind. And the second thing is that your reach in communities like Facebook and Instagram, or VK, they are powered by algorithms. So if you don't post for a long time, some of the reach you've built up, and that would be great to have when you reopen, that could be lost, right? Because if you don't post regularly, your new post will start showing to fewer and fewer people. And getting that reach back, it takes time to build up again. So that means your future posts will be viewed by fewer people. And when you reopen, if it's in 1 month or in 2 months, you want that news to reach as many people as possible so they can start coming back to the cinema.
Every time when we're discussing with different people, of course, everybody's saying you need to keep communication with your customers, this and that, but what content could cinema or shopping mall or museum create, and how they can make this content unique?
So one of the things that is a little difficult right now, right, is that since you're not open, it's hard to promote movies that you don't know when they'll be coming, or to promote products that you actually people can't come in and buy. It could be an opportunity to tell about a new screening hall if you just built one, or if you changed your seats or did some refurbishments. That could be a nice thing to tell about, because it shows that you are taking care of your location. Or it could be stories about the cinema's history, or maybe stories about the people working there and their dedication, right? Things that build trust and community. And all these things are types of stories that will deepen your relationship with your audiences and build excitement for and loyalty for when you open up again. So one thing that's certain right now is that people really want something to look forward to. Another thing we are doing with some of our customers now is that we are implementing new kinds of interactive content to bring people back to the cinemas. For example, and back to the cinemas apps and their websites. So for example, we're letting customers vote on list of movies they would like to see on the big screen when the cinemas reopen. And talk, because maybe when you reopen, right, you're not going to get all the biggest Hollywood movies at once. So then we let people vote about historical movies. So you can put up the favorites, the ones most people want to see, while you're waiting for the big releases to come. So that way the potential gap in big movies as cinemas start to reopen can become a positive community event rather than something negative.
All right, thank you. Any other thoughts maybe you want to share with exhibitors, what they also need to keep in mind?
Well, when you're communicating again, the way many of the social media platforms are built is that not everyone who follows you sees all your posts if you don't pay to promote them. And paid promotions right now is probably not what most cinemas want to spend their money on. So you can get around this by posting stories on these platforms, because stories are often seen by a lot more people and prioritized. But you can also you should remember to send some of the content you create on the channels that you own and goes out to everyone, such as email, or even more effective if you have an app, push notifications. So just don't overdo it on those channels, send too much, but send a little bit to everyone so they all hear about you.
Can you also share with us what's happening with their, I mean, not during the pandemic, but just in general with their cinema business? Other art house cinemas are growing, or maybe just commercial cinemas? Can you share some insight from your side?
I can tell a little bit about Norway, at least, where we have had a growth actually both in commercial and in art house cinemas. So it seems to be very clear that the cinema market, at least until now, but also hopefully after, when this is all settled, has been growing a lot. So we have a lot of big new commercial cinemas, and we have a lot of new art house cinemas popping up.
And right now, when everybody is at home and everybody use all these video on demand platforms, probably some people gonna create a new experience. How do you think this can affect the cinema industry?
I think one of the things that is interesting right now is that we're seeing that actually people are consuming so much on video on demand services that they are getting, and I think we're seeing that people are getting a little bit of fatigue, right? They're getting a little bit, they have seen all the things that are interested, and they are really hungry for new releases. And the reality is just that those new releases there are a few, but they're not coming directly to streaming, because the big budget in creating big budget films, it's still in cinema. I don't think it's either or. I think cinema and VOD will exist side by side for a very long time to come, just like video and cinema and DVD and cinema. So it's just, the question is not either or, but it's who is benefiting the most from selling video on demand. And I think that could be cinemas as well as the players that are now.
My last question, I think I want to ask about your idea. So you're creating this applications so you can communicate with the customers. But nowadays there are so many information in the telephone, lots of emails, a lot of notifications. How to avoid being another kind of annoying software which is sending their notification to people probably they don't want to receive? How to make quality content using your software?
And I mean, some people think that, oh, if people don't open my emails, then maybe I need an app so I can send push notifications. But people are going to block your push notification as well if they're not relevant. So, and then people think, okay, I'll just send something that's relevant to the user. Maybe they watched a Marvel movie a year ago, and so I'll send them something Marvel. But they still didn't ask for that. And I think that's where customer journeys come in, because instead of then getting an email that's a promotion that you never asked for, people don't like those. Then you can get an email that reminds you of something that you asked for. And that's what we try to create. We try to create these experiences where you go in, you watch a trailer, and you press a button where you ask to be reminded, right? And you subscribed to the customer journey. You said, I wanted you not to tell me about any movie you have coming up. I wanted you as a company to tell me more about this movie because I don't want to miss it. And then you are no longer promoting or pushing ads or selling to the customer, but you are helping them. You are providing them with a service, and all your messages are no longer promotions or ads. They're a service where you're helping them to stay up to date. And so I think that's, of course, you're still promoting movies, but I think that's the mindset you need to have, right? Not push things on people, but provide them with a service. And that's what you can do if you're creating good customer journeys, because people read those, I think.
Simon, thank you very much for all your answers. Really enjoying to speak with you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a real pleasure. I hope you got something out of this. And I hope to talk to a lot more of you soon. And I hope you have a great conference, even though we can't all meet up and be together at this time. So hello from Norway, and hope to see you in person soon, all of you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.